What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, a VOD reviewing a game from Brosif. Brosif is sitting at about 1,300, almost 1,400 LP, so quite high up there on the ladder. And the main reason that we were doing this VOD review is because he played a comp that I want to yap about and showed off a new tech that I think is very, very helpful when positioning in this comp. It's kind of crazy. It's almost like a build off of what people have done in the past in this comp, but a cool little twist on it that I think is really valuable for anyone who wants to play. Already, by the way, Katarina Reroll is what we are certainly thinking of playing. It's funny, Brosif actually scouts a guy here who does have Katarina. Yeah, this guy. He sees he has Crimson Veil and a sword slammed onto Katarina and says, "You're not going to play Cat," especially after we get dropped a rod here. He himself calls Cat, which I think is kind of interesting here. He's trying to scare the other player off of Cat. And also, I mean, we have a Cat, we have a rod. I mean, them having a sword. I mean, Sword's Edge of Night, one of Cat's best items, but still just trying to scare this guy off. And we didn't scout that Draco guy again, right? This is a different person we scouted because they just had this is Max Second, who has all these crew things in, because I would be afraid of scouting that other guy, but he's confident enough saying that I'm gonna play Katarina from this spot. Gets dropped all of these, and we look at power up here. Okay. So, and it's nice to do power up here like this before augment, just to give you the information of what your power up is. A lot of people talk about like, is there any reason to power up, this early in the game? Yes, there is. It's worth doing it right here at the end of stage 1 to see, okay, what are my power up options on Katarina? Over 9k veteran and keen eye. So veteran is something that I think a lot of people are excited about. They're like, ooh, veteran Katarina, but like, if you look at the stats, if you just throw Katarina 3-star into the planner, you'll see that the stats really hate veteran. So 7 Battle Academia performs really, really well, which, on its own, you could say, oh, I mean, sure, you play 4 veterans, 7 Battle Academia, you get a million spats and you play it. But the big thing is if you type mentor in here, you see 4 mentor is a positive delta, 1 mentor is a negative almost 2 on her placement. So you're not interested in playing this. Oh yeah, the other thing that I did want to say is that I'm watching this VOD on Brosif's channel. You can see here that I am subscribed to Brosif, so go check out his channel. He puts out a ton of like really, really good videos. A lot of coaching style content, a lot of good VODs as well. So if you like my stuff, you will absolutely like Brosif stuff. So go check him out. Go subscribe to him. I'll have the link to this game in the description down below, so you can see we pick up over 9k because, well, it's not gonna be veteran. Over 9k we've talked about before is a great Katarina power up. All right, trade sector Epoch heavy as the crown. I'd be defaulting trade sector here. Is just a solid econ augment. Story of 7, too much value. The funny thing about too much value is it is just a better trade sector. This augment, it just says trade sector plus under most circumstances, right? The way to get it to be exactly a trade sector is field 2 costs, and then if you're fielding 4, then it's a double trade sector. Both of them give 4 gold. This gives 4 gold in the form of gold. This gives 2 costs, which is also better than 4 gold, because 4 gold is just 4 gold. This could be 2 Katarinas. I don't know if I can give you 2 Katarinas, but even 1 Katarina would be great. So too much value is now our new default here as far as what we want to take here. Brosif kind of looking at the planner and being like what do I want to play? I mean, you could very easily play like Katarina or Econ is obviously your 2 guys, and then you could play something like, I don't know, like Shen Jana or Xinjiao Jana, and then fit in like Garen plus something else to plus like Rakan to fill out the rest of your I think that would be totally reasonable, actually, for a little while, and then eventually start pivoting into more vertical BA. We do see Mace's Will. I kind of think it has to be Mace's Will here. Let's see Slam Hodge here, which is really nice. And I mean, the crit chance is just really, really valuable onto Katarina. And so Brosif agrees this is going to be our slam here. We are going to make the Hodge here, which makes sense. And we're also going to make the Gunblade. Wow, this is an interesting slam here. I will say, so if you actually look at the statistics, the stats do really like Gunblade. So I pre-pulled them up, actually. So if you just say, and I actually did Katarina 3, filtered out Radiant Hodge and Radiant Gunblade to get rid of those. They like Hodge, but if you actually scroll down to just Gunblade, which is somewhere in here. Okay, I'm gonna Control F to find it because it's hard. I'm going to do this way, actually, because it's even still hard. The stats love Gunblade, minus 0.4 delta. I also pulled up the Meta TFT Explorer and just filtered out Radiant items entirely, and it says Hodge is slightly positive delta, and then Gunblade is really, really negative. So the sets really, really like Gunblade, even just on Katarina in this comp here, which I thought was interesting. I would imagine that Hodge is just, like, Hodge to me should be better on on Katarina, just because of the fact that she's a crit-based unit, and so the crit healing item should be better than the non-crit healing item. But I mean, I think the idea is that Katarina is one of these units where you kind of rely on your tanks surviving. The second your tanks die, they just aggro onto Katarina, and then you lose the fight. And so healing up those tanks is kind of important. And the other nice thing about the Gunblade Slam is it doesn't even have to stay on Katarina forever. This can, move over to Yuumi later, and then you can just have Gunblade Yuumi and then Hodge on Katarina, which I feel like is the most likely option. The only downside to Gunblade Slam is it does kill your Edge of Night component, but it just seems like based on this, the Broseph doesn't care that much about having like BIS, like Edge of Night, BIS, Katarina, and he'd rather just slam items and try to play streak, save HP, which is, I mean, something that so many really good players do, is just play for streak. Don't care too much about having like BIS. This. Oh, I need this. I'm just gonna build the good items, and then the chips will fall where they may. We technically have Crystal Gambit, but I mean we're not playing that here. We have actually a pretty decent board with the Katarina and getting Executioner in. And I mean over 9k is one of these augments where saving HP actually can make a drastically different impact on your game. If you survive an extra round and that extra round gives you a mana gen or some AP or something like that, you're always feeling good about that. All right, item off carousel here. We can take like belt or glove here. Opts to take the belt. Yeah, I mean, this is half of Guard Breaker, and nowadays it's half of Nashor's as well. We have no kind of like mana gen on Katarina yet. We'll see what the over 9k rolls, because if it rolls more mana gen, then you can think more about building just straight full damage onto her. But Nashor's is kind of like the mana gen item, and then Guard Breaker is just the damage item. The damage, Nashor's does do some, obviously it's giving you stats that are damage. Like the stats, I believe, like Guard Breaker a teeny tiny bit more, but they bounce back and forth. And so I do think it's one of those situations where it should just be context dependent, right? You don't want to just every single game go for the exact same build. Are you in a spot where you think your Katarina is going to be casting enough based on outside sources of if you take the Battle Academia augment, I forget what it's called, the one that like gives you less mana, then like reduces your max mana, then like do we really need extra mana gen? She's gonna be casting anyway, maybe we just go full damage. So yeah, over 9k at this point, giving us a lot of MR actually, which is pretty, in my opinion, not amazing. The AD is also, I would say, the biggest miss on this one. I think was that 4 AS or 4 AD? I think it was 4 AD based on where it was placed. I'm trying to remember though, but I think Katarina can actually use the tank stats decently well because she is a melee carry. So, she's oftentimes jumping into the back. Okay, it was 4 AS, so that's good at least. But she's, jumping into the backline, taking aggro very frequently, especially if you don't have an Edge of Night. So I don't think it's that bad to have, and we just get drop full Edge of Night. So I guess that is going to be our build here. I don't think it's that bad to get Armor on her or like HP or something, but you definitely, would prefer other stuff. All right. Well, this is also interesting because we do have this this full slam here. We could also make a Morello if we want to. I'm curious if Broseph wants to make that here. I would be kind of yeah, he's going to make it here. Okay. I was going to say, I'd be a little uncomfortable making it because of the fact that it's killing your damage item on Katarina. And if this is our Katarina setup forever, we're going to feel pretty bad just because she's not going to be, very high damage. But I mean, over 9k can provide the damage, I guess. So, we'll see here. And it does give us another slam, which is really, really nice. Not Bastion Circlet. I don't think it's actually even Buried Treasures. This is a great augment in general, but this comp, you're basically looking for 3-item Katarina, 3-item Rakan, and then 3-item Tank, which is a lot of items, but like past that, it's pretty worthless. So I would just take the Priz ticket here and guarantee like be able to hit Katarina 3. Wow, that is a rise on level 5, which is huge here. We roll down for Cat 2. Normally, you're trying to get 5 BA here, plus, Executioner, which rises, obviously, the best one that you can hit here. That mentorship bonus is huge here. We actually, we roll it pretty deep here. We opt to make Xin Zhao too. Huh. And he's going to actually swap into 4 BA here. It's an interesting idea. Just saying, like, the power of getting Xin Zhao 2 on our board is worth the fact that, I mean, we're dropping out of 5 BA. And obviously, it costs us some gold to hold on to a Xin Zhao 2. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. But then what is our board meant to be? I mean, I guess we're cutting one of these other, we're always going to play Caitlyn. Yeah, you'd have to get like Rakan here, I guess, for something. I guess you could do this here. But then you have... Yeah, okay. Oh, well, that kind of solves that issue where we hit the Leona. And so now we can end up selling the Xin Zhao here. So, I wonder, I mean, I think in hindsight, he would probably still say you should have made the Xin Zhao just to give yourself the opportunity. But it's kind of interesting because, I don't know, we saw in the stats, right? 7BA is such a spike, 5BA is such a spike. Like, Katarina is very reliant on her Battle Academia. And so I do feel like oftentimes you would just be playing 5BA on this board. But, I mean, I think the idea is if you're 5BA and your whole board's 1-star, you're going to have a pretty bad time. But, okay, we are now at this point done rolling, at least, you know, for the immediate term. We're going to try to econ back up a little bit and then start taking for Katarina 3. Item-wise here, he's looking at, I mean, Yuumi for Yuumi. If we can get it, I'm certainly down to take that, and we do get it. Holy, I mean, that's guaranteed. Yuumi here, which is just really, really nice, means that, you know, you don't have to wait for, you know, something, you don't have to wait to find the Yuumi, which, you know, sometimes you end up in Yuumi jail and you just never find Yuumi. It's an interesting question. Something about this is saying that Yuumi is better to me, but, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly less damage than a Caitlyn too. I guess the nice thing is that she spreads Morello a lot better. And you know, Caitlyn is just going to like single target auto down units, whereas the Yuumi is going to, you know, hit multiple targets and stay. You know, you can put her on the same side as Katarina, and then always we'll be hitting what Katarina's hitting. But Broseph disagrees, opts to play this setup, which, okay. Like, I mean, it's a Caitlyn too. I mean, the other thing is Morello should be a little bit better on Yuumi just because it's an AP item. We're going to power up Rakan here, and we find Unstoppable, which is the start of this this interesting tech that that Broseph worked on. According to him, and also that guy's holding a lot of BA units, but not that many, actually. He's just holding a couple of Katarinas. It's okay. But according to him, he is the inventor of this tech, and I mean, I have no reason to disbelieve him. So this is the kind of positioning that you're going to be going for during the game. Oh, he actually said, "I sell Kate, you sell Cat, deal," which is kind of hilarious. And then AK Wonder said, "Deal." Holy, nice. I mean, he actually brokered a TFT trade deal here. What a beast. Okay, all right, very nice. I mean, he doesn't need Caitlyn, right? This board very frequently drops Caitlyn so that you can just play Jace. And he actually, wow, in a show of good faith, actually open sold. That is wild. I mean, but I mean, these kind of trade deals in TFT actually do, you know, sometimes give you insane value because I mean, they just mean that you you know, all of a sudden this guy is selling, it was like 2 Katarinas, right? That, I mean, it's really good for you. All right, getting a little close to Katarina at this point, so we can definitely think about rolling it deep here. Getting close to Rakan as well, so yeah, he's just gonna dig for everything here. And wow, he actually last second movers items. Beautiful timing on that, because I think a lot of people would have got held up on rolling there. But Ionic Spark is a slam here for MR Shred, and then we are at that crossroads of the belt items. We can make a gargoyle, or not a guard, a guard breaker, stride breaker, striker's flail, something like that, or we can make a Nashers onto Katarina. So the question is, what does Katarina have? And we are going to put this onto Cat here. We hover Guardbreaker here, and he checks over 9k. Yeah, that's what I want to look at here. Is what has our over 9k provided us any mana gen at this point? Yeah, it's actually provided us a lot. Wow, it's provided us 3 mana gen here. So I think that it is just an easy Guardbreaker slam here. 3 mana gen, 4 AS. I mean, we really don't have much AP at all here. The mana gen, yeah, means that Guardbreaker I think is an easy slam in this spot here, just because yeah, Nashor's Tooth is going to be quite bad here. And you can also use this last bow item for Yummy here. All right, I don't think it's any of these. I guess worst case, you could take Salvage Bin and do something with it. You do need some Recon tank items, but obviously Bronze for Life is pretty bad. I guess Spear's Will gives you a GS slam, which is kind of cool. You don't want Sunfire Board here. Keepers is kind of funny. Is it ever Keepers here and you just Keepers Clump for the Recon? He's just going to take the AS here. I guess, yeah, AS pretty good on tier. You really want to think about it like, is AS good on our entire board? And the answer is like, kind of yeah. You know, it's obviously good onto Katarina, good onto the Yuumi, even, you know, not too bad onto the Rakan. So let's talk about this positioning, this kind of weird positioning from Broseph. That's actually going to get easier later in the game when we have more units to block Rakan. What are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to put Rakan back row here, block him in with Unstoppable, and then allow him to fly, ideally to the same side, I mean, definitely to the same side as Katarina, and try to fly through as many units as possible. So the idea is that Unstoppable, the unit that Unstoppable targets in here, we can actually pause and look at like kind of the start of combat here. It's not actually closest unit here. It is the closest unit that you can path to. This spot, it's kind of weird because he doesn't actually have a blocker here, so it's just going to fly like straight this direction. Yeah, stuck between a Kali and the Udyr there, so ends up going on the Udyr. I think actually it did go on the Udyr because we were slightly, because we had the Rise 1 hex in front of it that kind of like pushed it a little bit to the right, which is interesting. But you're trying to get Rakan to essentially fly from this middle to either the left side or the right side here. And then in doing this position, in putting him in the middle here, he'll oftentimes fly through frontliners, stun them, like waste their time. And then, that will get you CC on frontline units and will still end up putting him in a good spot. So let's like pause here and look at this. Like, for example, here, he has to think about, okay, how am I going to path in this spot to hit the first unit? I'm going to go doot, 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 and then I'm going to go path on a Malphite. He might actually even path onto the Shen as well here because the Shen can walk up as this fight starts. But it's very different than, previously people would put like Rakan here and then Katarina second row. The really nice thing about this positioning is one, Katarina is in the front row here, so it gives her really good opportunity to start walking up and getting as close to backline as possible here. And the other thing is because he's flying through the middle, oftentimes it'll push him more to the left or to the right than putting him here. You imagine if your Rakan's here, he flies all the way over here and ends up stuck in the middle of the board, which is not actually that good for your Katarina. What you really like is this kind of positioning here where he flies up this way, ends up here, and then what he can do is just block Katarina. She can jump and then just jump straight into the backline a lot of the time. So you can see here, she's going to jump here and then boom, she's right into the backline here using the Shen kind of as a bridge also to say, okay, if there's a unit in the second row, very often Katarina is going to teleport into the third row. And then once she's in the third row, she's usually AoEing units in the fourth row, and then she can go into the fourth row. So that's the idea. Broseph, this entire rest of the game is going to be try to block his Rakan so that he can fly through this way and hit, as many units as possible. That's why he's in the middle, because you could get similar positioning by putting him, I don't know, I guess in the corner, but you still wouldn't get that really nice angle that pushes him out, right? You want him further to the edges because that is going to allow this Katarina who's on the edge to position really nicely to oftentimes jump into backline. And yeah, as you'll see later, as we add more units, we're basically just going to block Rakan in longer because the more of a block that you have on that third row, the more likely, like 3 units blocking here, this makes it very likely that he's going to path like here or here. And you can see, yeah, he paths onto the Yasuo there and then goes right here. Katarina doesn't actually dash straight into backline here, but she had the opportunity to. If this guy had more backliners, she would have gone backline there. This guy is just in a situation where he has a ton of frontliners, so we end up pathing there. So yeah, that's basically the idea. But yeah, as you play more units, because if you think about a world where we could clump we could have just an entire line here of all of our backliners here, then Rakan would only be pathing to the, he would only be able to come out in this hole or this hole, which would push him really, really far, either, aggroing onto this unit or onto this unit, which gives him a really, really nice angle to get to backline. So that is the idea behind this positioning, and you can see it working wonders, aka wonders, even. That was stupid. In this spot. So yeah, we're also still stacking our over 9K. You're really nice to win 4 fights this stage, and hitting our guys 3-star with Priz ticket and then doing this kind of positioning, I think was hugely influential to us keeping our streak and just, putting ourselves into a good spot, because every fight that you win with over 9K is huge here. We're also, on our way to level 7. We're actually holding on to the Johnny here for the level 7 in here. Bastion and Strategist really nice here. Gonna finish off our con items here, which I guess is like Gargoyle Adaptive. Yep, yeah, this looks quite good. If you built Declaw, I guess you could have gone like Declaw Vow as well if you thought the lobby was really AP heavy, but I do love Gargoyle with any kind of unstoppable unit because he is going to be dashing forward and taking aggro. That's the other really nice thing about this positioning is obviously, Katarina in the front row, it's a little scary. She's, not going to get aggro if Rakan's next to her, but Unstoppable guarantees that Rakan is going to fly in and receive aggro, which is really, really important. We pick up the Jace here, and yeah, we are just going to full on level up to 7BA, like we talked about. 7BA really, really, really influential here on just allowing Katarina to do her best work. Yeah, he's going to try to move Jace up here, and this is actually a really good example of this positioning done poorly, like him messing it up here. He should have moved Jace up here to try to push Rakan further to the corner. Instead, because he doesn't actually have enough blockers on this side, Rakan says, okay, the fastest thing is for me to walk up here, and then I'm going to walk up to these frontliners. And so then he flies straight into the middle, and this is actually worst case scenario because there's melee carries here who aggro onto the Katarina here. So this is actually a really good example of the positioning done poorly, and Broseph realized that. I mean, to be fair, this is also a really tough matchup just because of the single target from the Jace. He actually, wow, he wins anyway. That's insane. I was gonna say I'd be surprised. I feel like the Jace would just murder the Katarina, but this is just a good value from the Edge of Night and stuff like that. All right, let's check over 9K here again. Oh, weird at that. Why is the mana gen in the third row? I guess because this turned to 12%, and so this jumped down. 16 AP, 12 AS. I mean, the 24 MR is not that bad here. And then the 3 mana gen. I mean, I think in the 100 HP, it's a little spread out. I think you'd like it a little bit more into AP or mana gen, but I mean, 3 mana gen is great. And you can see now he's doing this positioning like we talked about. Just this full-on row of units to block the Rakan and to try to get him as far to the corner as possible, and then allow him to go really far to either side. Basically, he can swap the Rakan and the Yuumi to pick what side the Rakan's going to go onto, because obviously the Yuumi blocks him from looking to the left side here. He has to go right side here with this positioning. It's impossible for him to circumvent the Yuumi in this spot, so he basically just swaps the Rakan and the Yuumi here to decide left or right, and then you put the Katarina on whichever side. Let's see. We are looking for. I mean, it's kind of awkward. We're kind of done with. Oh no, we're not done with the items. So we can take JG here. Oh yeah. Broseph does something really cool with his items later this game that I think is kind of genius, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, just think about I don't know. Think about these Yuumi items, I guess, a little bit longer. I don't know. Maybe that's my hint for you. And if you guys can figure it out before we get there, then you're a genius. Once again, you see he positions. He goes. The Katarina goes onto those Swain there because of this positioning, and the Katarina actually just barely clutches it out. The tank stats from over 9K actually running overtime here, doing insane work in this spot here. And top 4 locked in here. We fight Draco again here. We are also looking at a potential level 9 in this spot, though we do still have Yuumi 2 left to find, which is the big thing on 8s. But level 9 obviously would be really nice, getting Protector back in for your Rakan and getting Strategist onto your entire board here. So now we did the positioning correctly. You see Rakan takes full-on aggro from these guys. Fight actually looks a little bit worse this time. Oh yeah, I mean, I think that might have actually swung the fight, is that Tankzilla proc here. Studying Katarina is so annoying. I mean, Koboko in general is such an annoying unit for Cat to deal with. I wonder also, I mean, your prismatic ticket here, I wonder if you actually consider a Leona 3 as an out in this spot. You could randomly hit Leona 3 here. You could very easily just randomly hit that. So it's worth thinking about. All right, last item here. I told you guys to think about the Yuumi items. Also, we do opt to sell some of our stuff here and then just roll down for Yuumi here. Don't really care about Rise 2 here. So what would you guys what would you guys take in this spot here? We don't need. I'll give you guys some spoilers. We don't need Void Staff. Because we already have this Spark Maid. We don't really need Edge of Night. We're not going to go double. I mean, you could actually consider Edge of Night, but what would you take here, and who would you put that item onto? Because I think Broseph actually makes a really, really smart decision here, which is, you'll see here, he actually throws Caitlyn in for a second here. He grabs the blue buff here. We don't actually have much mana gen on Yuumi, so getting blue buff onto her is nice. And then these are his Yuumi items, and he Morello's the Leona. And I saw this and I was like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. But I mean, if you think about it, Leona does a lot of AoE damage. I actually even did a stats check. Do I still have it up here? I think I have it on my other monitor. Do I have it on my other monitor? I do. So 7 BA, Leona, Yuumi. I could even throw Katarina 3 in here. Maybe this will change. Hopefully this doesn't change stats completely, because it'll undermine my point. But you can see here, actually, the stats like Morello on Leona, and much lower sample, obviously. But with a small sample, they actually really like Morello onto Leona here. Let's see. I guess at this point, the sample is going to be too low. We can look at last patch maybe to see here. Yeah, the stats still really, really like Morello onto Leona. And this is, not to say that you should start every game with Morello onto your Leona, but she AoEs quite well. She uses the the HP quite well. So it's actually really, really nice to just throw Morello onto your Leona, and then you can put you can triple damage item your Yuumi here. So I think it's such a cool idea that I think I have not seen too many people Morelloing their Leona here. It's also she's in the front line here, so she's going to walk up. It actually is rough that she walks to the left side here, because we're actually not Morelloing backline, or we're not Morelloing the Malphite for like this entire fight, so you kind of have to. I think you should actually be really careful here to put Leona same side as Katarina here. Kind of swap her and Rise with this positioning. Because you really want her to walk up on that same side. But all right, we get the kill here. It's just us versus AKO Wonder, 2 Battle Academia rerollers here, which is so funny. And yeah, AKO Wonder got really, really low and then just used all those resources, tipped Caitlyn 3, and then just played 7 BA. And I mean, really nice that Broseph brokered this trade deal here, because if he hadn't, you know, we might have been in a spot where neither of them would have hit, and then everyone would have died. All right, we're actually wrong side here. Katarina doesn't get to jump into the backline, but it ends up being fine because our board is just so strong here, and we beat AK Wonder, and it's an easy first for Broseph here. So really cool game. Once again, go sub to Broseph, check his stuff out, but I think this was just a geniusly, really, really cool positioning positioning tech, good itemization, good everything. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like, comment, subscribe, check out my Twitch, my Metafy, all my links down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.